Hi, I wanted to make this video about a recent appearance of Elon Musk at an ADF conference, and his claim that Germans should not feel guilty for what happened in the Holocaust. I actually agree with him. Just to make you understand what I think about Elon Musk, I really think he's a cancer on society. So just like a cancer, in order to grow, it consumes resources from the host that eventually will destroy the host. And it seems like Elon will destroy the host called democracy that it's going on in some Western countries. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but this seems what he's intent to do. So why do I want to share this with you? Is because I want to let you know that I'm not at all a Musk fanboy. But I think in this case, he's kind of right on the fact that Germans should not feel guilty anymore about the Holocaust. And let's try to understand why. So first of all, let's listen to this video and this short piece.
So, I think there's frankly too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that. Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great grandparents, maybe even. And we should be optimistic and excited about a future for Germany.
Okay, actually, I have been saying this for a very long time, and I remember long arguments in which I have been thoroughly shamed because I was somehow saying that I was justifying the Holocaust, which of course I'm not. It was a terrible, terrible thing. It should never really happen. I do think that humans have done lots of terrible, terrible things of the same magnitude in the past. Of course, we had more technology, so we're better at doing that. And there's a good chance that we're gonna repeat some of the things. And in fact, I'm on the opinion that what's happening in Palestine, for example, is one of the things. A technologically driven genocide. But I do think that Germans living now, are not responsible for what happened about 8 years ago now. And while they were very much those alive back then, I mean, those alive and with some power of action, if you were 5, of course, you are not responsible for what happened when you were 5. But those who were alive were definitely responsible. However, Germans right now are not. And there are a few basic reasons. For example, I think like 30% of Germans, grown-up Germans, where their parents were not around in Germany at that point. They are the children or grandchildren of immigrants. So yeah, that's it. If you go to many German towns or cities, you can see immigrants are like 50% of the population, so they're certainly not guilty of that. And I just find absurd that we think that children are somehow German children, like blonde, whatever you can imagine stereotypical Germanese. I just find it bananas that we think that they are somehow guilty for the sins of their ancestors, not even their fathers anymore. So, but why I think that it's important to let go of this ancestral guilt. Why do I think it's important to have clear boundaries on who did what? And the primary reason, which I think it's important to have clear boundaries of guilt, is because if you don't have clear boundaries on who did what, you are actually washing out the guilt. While you usually tend to wash out the guilt within people, there's no one clear person who had wrongdoing, so we just don't understand what happened. The system will not be changed. We are not going to look into it because the guilt is shared by everyone. So whatever, but we are doing it in time. So by carrying over this guilt, we are washing out the guilt of the past. We are actually diminishing the guilt of the people who actually committing these horrible acts. At the same time, just like castigating priests or religious people. Self-punishment, in a way, makes you better. You say, I was wrong, but I clean myself of my sins. Now I'm clean. Now I'm superior to others. So now I have a moral high ground to blame others and to point fingers. So this is also a way of really making yourself superior, with, ironically, should be the opposite lesson that should be gained out of the genocide. The genocide is like, what we have to learn is that, thinking ourselves superior, morally and emotionally superior to others, leads to pretty bad things. And so we also don't learn that what drove those people to commit those acts. We don't learn what systems are bad, because we cannot get rid of this guilt. Whatever we do, we will be guilty. So it's something intrinsic to us, something that cannot be changed. So, for example, take a look, at the genocide in Palestine. And in a way, Germany and Europe at large is very much responsible for this. But the reason why we allow it to happen, there are many reasons, but the why we justify it with is because somehow we have painted Jewish people, and by extension Israel, although the two things are really not the same, as being the only people who can never be aggressors. They can only be victims. Because if we say they are aggressors, if we say they are bad, they are somehow evil people, then we say, it's anti-Semitic. No? And so we deprive them from all guilt. We make them superior to others. No? And so we allow this atrocious genocide to happen in such a way, which is, I think, pretty crazy. So the same is true for colonialism. We are not guilty for what people hundreds of years ago did. But all of this doesn't take away something very important. While we should not be guilty for the sins of our ancestors, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be guilty for our sins and the ones we are committing right now. We are very much guilty, and not all of it. Again, we should be very precise. There is guilt. There are many people in Europe who fought but not fought, we didn't fight, but we protested and are very much against what's happening in Palestine. So the level of guilt is by participation, but there are very much people who are in government in Europe who are guilty for sending weapons. They are physically guilty. I think Olaf Scholz and whoever is in power in Europe right now and is allowing this to happen should go to prison, no? Because they allow it and they share false information that allow this to happen. So I want to make clear how strongly I feel about this. No? But this generational guilt, it just insulates people from the now sins. No? And what we're actually doing is giving credibility to the Nazis. Because let's think about how the average people, a normal person who maybe doesn't care much about this, because that's, let's be fair, our lives are pretty insulated, are very local at the end of the day. We are humans. We are not supercomputers. We think about what's happening everywhere around the world. So let's think how the average people will feel about this and what will happen. So you have been told for a very long time since you were young that somehow you are guilty for something that you didn't do. Most people will feel that this is wrong. Maybe they will say, yes, we are, but maybe we'll feel this is wrong. Why? I didn't do anything. That's just how the human mind works. It's unfair from you. You are not my parent, so I will not find guilt in myself, but I will probably very much say no, like there's something wrong with you. So now somebody else comes and it tells you, no, you are not guilty. And these people are usually the Nazis, because the people who tend to say we are all guilty tend to be left-leaning people. I understand why they do it, but I really think that this hurts our reasons to action. Usually people on the left want to benefit others and create a better society, but this is not creating a better society. What it's actually doing is pushing people that will otherwise be happy to listen to us to go towards the Nazis, which are the ones who are not blaming them for something they didn't do. There is finally another thing, which is the fact that people can only bear so much guilt. If you, again, same idea, have been born with guilt, you become defensive toward it. You don't feel it as comfortable, so you're going to defend yourself and you're going to say, no, this is not true. Then when you tell them they're actually guilty of something they did, they will not listen to you. They will say, no, that's not true. And if this thing you're not saying is true, that means other things you might be saying are not truth. So maybe also what happened in the past was not truth. So in conclusion, I think the generational guilt that Germany carries, the German people carry, and in Europe at large we carry, has been really a tool to wash away the sins rather than come to terms with it, understanding what happened and preventing it in the future. And it really leaves our societies vulnerable to Nazis to take over, because they will make them feel better about something that they didn't actually do. So this is all from me. I hope if anybody listened to it, I hope it was somehow clear. I'm trying to this to also improve how I communicate. So anyway, thanks for being here, and bye.